Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Pineapples with Pam. We're hosts, Pat.
Andrea.
And Mike, and we are about to throw the bones.
The
Okay,
bones tell me nothing.
yo, we
So
about to
good.
throw some bones, dog. Yo, I'm just saying that is a line I love more than anything in the movie. But yeah, um, we are we watched this week. Movie of the week was my pick. I think we kind of let me geek out a little bit at the end of last episode, so you guys probably already know I'm excited for this one. And this is 1988's Willow. Um, and it's one of the things where I hold this movie very heavily in my heart. It really holds more sentimental value. I uh, watched it as a kid and was very traumatized by it. It gave me nightmares, like
Wouldn't
actual
care about that.
nightmares.
Like,
Okay, and we'll discuss, and I'll just discuss it when it's relevant. But I'll just say that, right? This movie like really hit me as a kid, and I was like, wow, I can't sleep anymore, right? And and then I would like rewatch it again because we had it on VHS, and other people in the family would want to watch it. I wouldn't really want to watch it, but they'd be like, "Oh, just cover your eyes for certain parts that really scared you, right?" And we'll talk about what parts those were as they come up. And I like almost learned to overcome that fear watching this movie, right? So then it became just something I would like learn to watch and appreciate for what it is, and then it became one of my favorite movies for that very reason. So it's a favorite movie of mine for sentimental reasons, not necessarily for like really well done movie reasons, because I'm sure that many people can point out maybe certain flaws in the movie, right?
yeah.
I'm certainly not blind to potential flaws in the movie, but there's a lot that I love about this movie. And so for my little trivia fun fact section, right? Uh, I'm going to do fun facts first, and then I got a couple questions for you I thought you might find funny. Okay.
All right.
So the first fun fact. This was actually the first feature film using the morphing process developed by Industrial Light and Magic, which, if you know, Industrial Light and Magic is the same effect studio that did Star Wars.
Right.
Word.
George
So all
Lucas's,
so all the morphing that we got from Industrial Magic, Light and Magic, this was actually their first like breakout opportunity using that technology. Now, according to press kits and subsequent novels, the two-headed dragon was named Eborskis, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
which was a reference to the movie critics Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert. Okay, which I just thought was awesome because fuck you critics, because obviously as we will, I mean, this movie unfortunately was not really well critically appreciated at the time, right? It
Yeah.
kind of didn't do well that I think the cult classic that it is probably should have. You know what I mean? Um, and then the last one that was just a fun fact was in preparation for the movie, Warwick Davis, who plays our titular character Willow, had to learn a modified accent, how to take care of a baby, how to ride a horse, how to sword fight, and how to perform magic.
Dig. What a badass.
What a badass indeed.
All for one film. Like for one film. And I think it makes sense that he would go through such lengths, because this was obviously a movie really, I think, taking risks, having the titular character being a little person, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
At
he
the
was
time.
17.
Yeah. Well, I know that George Lucas created the film for him after Star Wars.
Yes.
After he met him on the set of Star Wars, and he was 17 at that time, I think.
Oh, I thought he was 17 for
It's
this.
actually very possible. You know, that I would want to double check, but I mean, because both seemed totally plausible. But the movie came out shortly after, so he was still very young
Yeah.
when he
Yeah.
did Willow.
Still the 80s.
He said, I read something about he had to wait for technology to catch up or something to make Willow.
Oh my God! Well, I mean, obviously knowing the film for what it is, I totally believe it, because I do feel like the movie did push some stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the whole morphing thing, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
The-
Which is one of the nightmarish things that you gave me nightmares with your light effects, bruh. Okay?
Oh, really? Well, that was one of the parts.
What?
That was one of the bad parts for you?
Oh, yeah, well, I always had, kind of like we covered last podcast, I have a problem with body horror type stuff, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when the troll, when what happens to the troll, where he initially gets thwacked and then he peels his own skin off into a brain,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So gross. Yeah.
And then gets knocked off, and then you have this grotesque. It's not a regular looking dragon; it's this grotesque dragon, right?
I have a trivia fact about the dragon.
What's up?
I have a trivia fact about the dragon. And
Oh, please.
The one that you just said. So Lucas named it that after those dudes, yeah?
Yeah.
Ron Howard created the look of the dragon based on his brother.
Oh, that's so unfortunate because that was nightmare fuel for me. So I'm sorry, Ron Howard's brother. You know what I mean?
That's
like
grim.
If your face is the source of my nightmare fuel, I'm sorry because I don't want you to take it that way. Now, a quick trivia though, before we get too nerdy into it, because I know that we already are going to geek out heavy, right?
Okay.
So, what was the original name of the film when George Lucas conceived the idea?
Oh.
I couldn't even begin. I have no idea.
I'll give you a hint. It involves little people and is not politically correct now.
Oh.
Uh.
Something dwarf something?
Munchkins.
Oh my god.
Literally just that.
Oh my god.
Munchkins.
So glad that you changed that name.
Quote, Munchkins, end quote. Munchkins.
Well, George, good choice changing that.
Yes, thank you for changing that. But to think, there's a part of me that like almost wishes I didn't know that because it almost spoils the idea for me that he's sitting there like creating this great movie idea and he's like, and we're gonna call it Munchkins because that's how I view little people right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it almost in its own way is so offensive to know that was the thought process in conceiving the idea. You know what I mean? Kind of in a sense.
Yeah.
But obviously, who am I to speak about offense for other people? But it's just like it was almost like really weird to see that. But I thought that was interesting. And then who was Val Kilmer's main competitor for Mad Mardigan that considers his loss for that role his biggest disappointment?
Oh, I know this because I read it recently.
Was it Tom Cruise?
No, but that would be hilarious. No, you can go to say it, Andrew, since you know it. Yeah.
John Cusack.
Yeah.
Yo,
I read he considers it to be the biggest regrets of his professional.
Yes. That
dude,
is the part
listen.
that for me makes that fun fact like the best is that. You know what I mean?
Listen, if I'll tell you guys both right now, if this movie had if this had John Cusack as Mad Mardigan, I would hate this movie.
It would not be.
Yes, it wouldn't be what it is. And I'm sorry, John. I enjoy you in other films. You're a great actor, right?
I do not.
Yeah.
Well, that's your opinion, sir. Okay.
Bunch of his lines, so like it would never be the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Cusack.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things where, yeah, like you said, the fact that he considers it his biggest disappointment is just such a juicy fun fact to me because I don't know why Mad Mardigan to me is just such a good role with such a ridiculous name. You know what I mean?
Great.
Like, he could have been called like Alberstomp. You know what I mean? And like it would have been like because it's like Mardigan is like its own Mad Mardigan. Come on, that's such a, how do you come up with that name even?
Speaking of Mad Mardigan so heavily, can we take a moment to appreciate Val Kilmer in like what was that one of his very first roles?
Yeah.
And I just recently, when it came out, Dion and I went to go see Top Gun, and which is probably I guess maybe going to be one of his last roles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reportedly, I think apparently he's going to have something to do with the Willow 2 TV series.
Oh wow!
Oh,
apparently, at some point, the director had him in mind. I don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, it's tough because if for those who may not be aware, Val Kilmer has not really been doing. He's been overcoming, I guess, a throat sickness, and it really hindered his speech. And so, as actually on a separate fun fact note, his son did the voice acting for Top Gun.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
was a blend of both his sons and his voices.
Yeah, he filled in, right? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he filled in, yeah.
Yeah.
And but it just goes to show you that, like, I mean, if that were to continue for Willow 2, or depending on what the role Val Kilmer plays is, it's very tough to say. I don't even know much about the TV. You'd think, as much of a fan I am of this movie, I know much about the TV series sequel. I don't.
Yeah,
I actually found out that
they didn't say anything about it. It just
no,
kind
and
of
I
came
found out about
out.
it. I found out about it 2 weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh, what? Oh my god!"
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
On IMDb to like see who's going to be in the cast, and they have like minimal parts revealed on the cast, and it's supposed to come out in November.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So
I think they're keeping it under wraps for a reason, though, because I think they know that there's a cult following for this film, and that we'd be quick to be like, "That's not Mad." Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I agree.
We'd be very quick to judge, but
yeah.
Anyway, so just give a brief summary before I want to hear your reactions to this film, because I want to hear your reaction since I love this movie a lot. All right, the basic plot is this. I usually summarize it as Lord of the Rings, but with Warwick Davis as Frodo and a baby for the ring, right?
Yeah.
And through their adventure into to save the baby, and save the world, essentially, because this baby is the prophesied child that will bring down this great evil sorcerer bitch, right?
Yep.
And Queen Bavmorda, which, first off, these movie names are awesome. Okay?
Badass. So badass.
Bavmorda.
Every movie, Elora Danan, like what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that name.
Right? Elora Danan.
Yeah.
I personally fell in love with the names in the movie. But anyway, yeah. So this baby, there's no time skip in the movie. The baby doesn't get old, and you don't see her stomp the queen. Okay.
Right.
The baby remains a baby through the whole film, right? Yeah. And so the movie is more about the adventure. It's like kind of gives off that family father vibe, because Willow's kind of taking care of the baby. He through his adventures, he'll come across heroes that will, unlikely heroes and allies that will aid him in his quest to save Elora Danan and bring an end to the Queen's era, which they do succeed in doing at the end. And that's the basic summary of the movie, right? Now, moving forward, we can now geek out about specific parts and nightmare fuel that this movie gave us, okay? So... But this was a retrospective for Andrea, I know, and for you too, right? When was the last time you saw this movie, Pat?
I'd say because Dave and I are so like into movies. I see this movie probably like once a year.
Word. Okay.
I see it maybe once a year, once every other year at most. But I mean, look. So one of the things I put in my notes that like was a big thing for me is like I guess I hadn't watched it probably in about a couple of years at this point, but I thinking about it in this way, right? That it's going to be for a podcast. I have to think about it a little more critically than I usually do, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
I kind of was expecting that like nostalgia was going to play. I felt like I was going to watch the movie and that I was going to come away from it feeling like nostalgia was a big reason why I loved it.
Right.
But, dude, fucking no way. The movie just slaps. It's a fucking good. It's just such a good movie.
It is.
It has. First of all, the world that it takes place in is so grim, and I love that. It's it's really raw and kind of just like it's gritty out here, and motherfuckers are, you'll get killed, and I think that's cool, especially for like a kids movie in the 80s.
Well,
yeah. I mean,
I agree.
It's pretty brutal from the outset, honestly.
The girl gets murdered by dogs in the beginning. I remember my mother.
Oh my god, the fucking dog beasts.
They're terrifying. They're terrifying.
Costumes that just have regular dogs on them.
No, I know, right? But,
they're so creepy though.
But they did a great job with that, though, right?
Oh god, yeah.
Considering that it's a dog in an outfit, don't you think they did it well?
Yeah, I remember them being all like creepy and stuff when I saw it. But This time I was like, oh my god, it's hilarious. It's good but hilarious at the same time.
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah. Sometimes I feel like watching older films, I lose track of how effects have dated. Of
Yeah,
course, right? So what I thought was like it's kind of like as gamers, we look at these were the best 3D graphics on
yeah,
PC Gamer
yeah,
magazines, like Unreal with polygons, right? It's
yeah,
like
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
thing. And so it's hard for me to. I try and be like what you're saying, kind of like acknowledge that it's from the past. So you're like, it's good but bad but good. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
Yeah,
yeah,
but I think that I like actually don't look at it um as like a bad, like it's funny, it's kind of goofy, but imagine if they were like Power Rangers TV series CGI.
No, I know,
We'd be watching it like this is crap.
I
I
know.
would not be able to watch it
yeah.
No,
like at all.
it's the
I,
Fifth Element effect.
I always prefer the in camera effects
Ye-
always.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
It's
it
just,
does look goofy, but
but
it does
yeah,
look
I
goofy.
look at it with adult eyes is totally different. Like the last time I saw it was minimum a decade ago, probably more like 20. So maybe the last time I saw it, I was in my 20s, right?
Right.
So and definitely when you're a kid, when you're first watching something, which is what this movie was geared for, was like the preteen and under crowd.
Yes.
You have all those rose colored, like highly imaginative glasses on at that age. So just the suggestion of something can really set your brain off. And just,
Yes.
just suggesting of what those beasts were made them way more creepy than like going further than
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
because at that age it's just like, whoa, holy
Yeah. Yeah. No,
yeah,
you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. And like, and they weren't the nightmare fuel for me. I mean, the part that did always get me because the I guess it's the music that flute that comes in where it's like, yo, I swear, when that lady died, you know what I'm talking about. When she dies, that fucking flute hits you in the balls, right? And it's just like,
oh, in the beginning.
yeah, when it goes like,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know, like,
yeah. I'm
yo,
so thankful all that stuff was like off camera.
oh my God,
Yeah.
yo. And now, granted, that was like, and I remember when we watching that movie the first time, and my mom just goes like, "Oh my God, what was this movie rated?" Because it's within the first few minutes, it's like the first like post intro credits thing to happen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And which
Actually,
is
it's pre-credits because the baby's credits are rolling while the baby's on the
floating
river
down
and
the
shit.
river.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
it's like before the movie's even like, "Yo, George Lucas helped make this, yo." It
Yeah.
was like, murking this lady through with dogs. I was just like, this is crazy. But that wasn't even really the nightmare fuel part. Those dogs didn't really scare me. It was the trolls
Yeah.
and the dragon and the
Well,
pigs.
yeah, and
It-
I think we should.
oh, the pig people when she turned everybody into the
You're all
Yeah.
pigs.
oh yeah,
Yo.
yeah.
First
Um.
off, I've never really seen, I don't think I've seen that actress in anything else, but whoever played Bav Morta really nailed easily the most evil bitch ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my first note is that Queen Bavmorda is just about the creepiest, baddest motherfucker to come out of the 80s.
Yo.
You guys
Dude.
noticed that she was wrapped in mummy wraps under
She
her cloak?
She
Yes,
was.
she looked like Mumra from fucking
What the
Thundercats.
fuck
Yes.
is up with that?
I don't know. I was asking that.
Attention to the movie, and it never answers that question for me.
Yeah.
Yo, I think it's just to signify the evil side of her being that way, right? You don't go to like a mummy and you're like, hey, want to hang out and like kumbaya. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
I don't know.
Or maybe
towards
containing her evil. I don't know. I don't know.
No.
towards the end, when she's like looking real fucking gray in the face,
Yo.
I kind of got the impression that like maybe she has been alive for a very very unnaturally long time, and
Right.
maybe that's why she maybe it's kind of like a metaphorical, like she's fucking old,
Oh
like
yeah, she's as old as a mummy.
You know what? That's a good
right,
point.
exactly, yeah.
I didn't think she does kind of get more baggedy-eyed and more wrinkly over time without anything actually happening to her per se. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
it's more at the end, like when like shit really starts going down once they infiltrate the castle and everything like
Oh my
that.
God, yo.
Yeah,
Um,
got really creepy looking then.
she does. She looks like really. She nailed that fucking part so hard when she
Oh yeah,
comes out and turns them into pigs. Like
Yo,
just her
her.
talking and laughing and like giggling like a
yeah.
Oh my
fucking
God.
lunatic. It was like, damn woman,
Phone it in. She did
she
not.
Dude,
no, she was about that fucking role.
Yeah,
yo.
yeah.
Yeah. Again, perfect cast for the Queen Bavmorda. She was super, super awesome. And then I mean, all right, what were your guys' favorite parts of the movie?
All right.
I
I had a
I don't
bunch.
know if it's one of those movies where now you have a bunch of favorite parts, or if you
I
have top
do.
three or
I
top five.
uh, I have
I
I have like 10 of them.
yeah. I have so many things like where
Well,
I love this
Spitfire them and
part.
see how many match up, because I'm sure, you know what I mean? Like, because I'm sure that we're both gonna be like, yeah, that was one of them. You know what I mean?
Well, first, let me say you like got me fucked up with this movie right off rip. I was like crying in the beginning scenes with Willow and his wife. Looking at this
Hmm.
now as an adult, when I was a kid, I don't think I could have ever told you that Willow was married and had 2 kids until
Right,
this time.
right.
And that whole interaction between him and his sweet little family and his wife, and she
Oh,
chopped her hair off for him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
oh,
Lost my fucking shit,
yo, word, yo.
dude. Yeah,
Let's go.
and I'm like trying to be quiet about it because husband's sitting next to me farting around on the phone, and I'm just like in my chair, just.
Oh man, yeah, that movie really. I agree. When like, especially he references it throughout the movie where he misses the
Oh
bobbins,
hmm
you know,
yes.
and like, you know, the fact that the whole, oh my God, I always get choked up on the return run at the end.
Yes,
What
yes.
That was
when
a
he comes
They
back
phenomenal
into
return run.
town?
screaming her name, and she's screaming his name, and they're running.
Yeah, and they yell each other's name and they're running towards each other at the end
Yes,
of the movie on his return home.
yes,
Yo, because that, like, again, it's like it just goes to show you that like he had so much to lose in all
Yes.
this.
Yeah, yeah. The
yeah.
He
stakes
literally,
were
you know,
very high for him.
yeah,
They were the highest stakes for him.
yes,
And the,
yes.
and then immediately after that husband and wife scene, I cried again with the interaction between Willow and the wizard, and that whole part about what was your real answer to my question?
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
yeah, love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to trust yourself,
Trust
confidence,
yourself,
right?
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep, yep,
It's
yep.
good
yeah.
good lesson for kids to learn
The
in a
Exactly.
movie's
kids
full of them.
movie.
No,
Oh,
the movie's full of them.
Yeah.
that sorcerer was played by Billy Barty, who is one of the original Lollipop Kids.
Wait, really?
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome.
That's fucking awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah.
Um
Go ahead.
dude, well, all right, the scene when they first find Mad Mardigan. First of all, Burgle Cut is like the epitome of an 80s movie bully.
I
Yeah,
know.
He is
I know.
yeah.
he's like Biff from fucking Back to the Future.
He
It's
is
like
the
the
worst.
same, you know.
Mhm.
But when they first find Mad Mardigan and he's like yeah, Willow's threatening him. He's like, I've got this acorn here. Val Kilmer's like, he's like, there's a Beck here with an acorn pointed at me.
Yes, yes.
The way he says that, he looks like so legitimately
Uh,
scared.
yeah,
No.
I have that down as one of my favorite dialogue, actually.
Yo. Yeah, I hate Burgle Cut, and I'm so glad that thankfully they never let him really get the upper hand. He's always a bully and he puts down, but then he'll always kind of have something happen to him
Yeah,
that
like
brings him back down a notch. You know what I
yes,
mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like he gets
He has
barfed
quick
on or
tongue.
shit on or
Yeah, which actually, all right. So the barfing on thick moments, little things. All right, one of the things that I call the fifth element effect is when a movie takes enough time to have scenes that are purely for world building or purely for, like getting you into the space that they're in.
Right, like they're not necessarily pushing a narrative forward. It's just
Yeah.
like, hey, look at how believable this world is that our characters exist in.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I think that if you're a real critic, you would say that, well, no, that's just dead movie stuff that should have been chopped, and the movie should have been 20 minutes shorter, and the movie dragged on, right? But there's also a part of me that makes me appreciate Lone because that baby throw up scene. Guess what? That's the only thing that happens in that scene.
Yeah.
There's no other purpose for that scene except to watch Burgle Cut get thrown up on. Okay,
Yeah.
and what
Well,
I mean, and again, that whole purpose to bring him down a level to me is just like you can't take out those little scenes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's so it's like The Fifth Element, where those little scenes, while they make the movie might sometimes feel like more thing like that thing should be happening quicker. Sometimes it's so important for that movie,
Yes.
right?
it's reinforcing that narrative of bullies don't win.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
We don't
Which was
bullies.
very big in the 80s.
Yeah.
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 yes,
Yeah. Can
absolutely.
we talk about the fucking brownies?
Yo,
Dude,
They stole every friggin' scene.
they're
Yo.
so funny, and I didn't even realize that was my thing that I noticed. I didn't realize that was Kevin Pollak until I watched it this time. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah, I knew him. I had to look it up while I was watching the movie. I was like,
Okay.
that face, I know that.
Yo. So this
It's
is
so
why.
funny.
Just as a random side note, because I think I've also referenced that Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is my overall favorite movie of all time, now next to Everything Everywhere All at Once. But in rewatching Hitchhikers and in rewatching Willow, it's the same thing. You don't realize how many awesome casting things there are in that movie. And that's one of them. Because Kevin Pollak as the brownie, as one of the brownies,
Yeah.
was fucking perfect casting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two, like every scene that they were in, they totally like definitely stole some of the shine.
Yes.
Who you fool? Yo.
The whole drunkenness, beer.
Beer. Yeah.
Oh, yo.
So
Yeah, the beer one. I mean, you have the this way that they do multiple times, which I love,
Uh-huh.
right?
Mhm.
Oh, and then
my-
like the way that they say it, you
And
have the fairy
like-
dust.
you could theoretically take them out of this movie and it would still be the same movie, but it wouldn't like that. It goes to what you were saying about the world building. Like all their stuff is really not necessarily like, I think some of it might maybe lends Willow like a little hand here and there, but for the most part they're there just for comic relief and a little extra.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is what this world is.
And in some ways, they actually also play a great MacGuffin role in the film multiple times.
What's the MacGuffin again?
Just kind of like oh no, we're trapped in a cage. Oh look, they show up and we can use their thing to pick the lock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like to carry the story on because they've separated. Willow and Madmartigan separate, or Madmartigan has the baby. Well, how's the movie going from there? Well, you have some brownies steal the baby from the stupid Daikini, right?
Yeah.
While he was taking a pee-pee.
Why you were taking a pee-pee?
So good.
Yo, this movie is always quotable for me because it's just little moments like that,
Yeah.
right? And something I wanted to reference from last podcast and answer in this one because it was something important to me. Did you guys watch this movie with subtitles?
Always, yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Always. What about you, Andrea?
Yeah, I've started doing that a lot because I'm getting deaf in my old age.
Okay, so here's the thing. Me too, kind of, not really. I mean, I watch them with subtitles because, sometimes I can't. It's just not enough, and with accents or something, I might not catch exactly what they're trying to say, right?
Yeah.
And so I definitely watch with subtitles, and I watched this one with subtitles. And as rewatching it this time, I watched it with subtitles, right? And when I did, we must consult the bones, right? And then they do it, and there's this amazing buildup. But if you have subtitles on, the punchline is given away.
Oh yeah, I know.
Oh, we did talk about. Yeah.
I noticed that.
And it really bothers me. It's one of the few moments in the film that I feel like you just can't have subtitles for to appreciate that moment. because the whole moment is built up to be like the great wizard who's doing the whole, testing of the apprentices shit, right? He's supposed to have all the answers, right? And he throws the bones. And what I love is you can tell he fucking makes up all the magic in that scenario, in that whole scene.
Yeah.
He makes it all up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Now,
I-
and I just like that because it just, again, is him being this, I don't know, like wily wizardy guy, because he still is a wizard. He's a magician, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
I,
and I just love that part.
I don't think it took away for me when I was watching. It didn't take it away from me, even though it was the first time I finally noticed it.
Word.
Because I think even with subtitles on, people still will try to keep pace with the action of the film, and if it's somebody's first run through, they might not notice that anyway. They might
Gotcha. Yeah.
see it and be like, and because of the pace of that scene, because quickly right after that he says something else.
Right.
And
Right.
because of that, I think like a newcomer would not necessarily notice that until they do a rewatch as well, even with the subtitles on. But that's just my opinion.
I just as a slight topic jump. Well, it's not really. I guess it is, but we did talk about it earlier, just in terms of like the casting being great. I really feel like Val Kilmer like killed that role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he killed it.
Yes.
And the scene where he's talking to Elora Danan at the like the lakeside, and he's calling her Sticks.
Yep.
And Willow's wigging out. He's like, her
Yo.
name isn't Sticks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he just seems like such a believable, like, I don't know, like lovable oaf,
Yeah.
like he really.
It really didn't even feel like he intentionally lost her either.
No.
It seemed like he was very happy to be like, okay, I'm gonna take this baby now, and this
Yes.
is my new journey.
Actually, yeah.
Like it, no question, not like I'm gonna go, like, you let me out of the cage, now I'm gonna go, like, the first place I can pawn her off, I'm gonna get rid of her. It wasn't like that.
Yeah. No, so actually that's super true. I always thought that, I remember when I first watching, I always thought that he carelessly threw away the baby or left the baby somewhere, and then that's when the brownies found them.
Yeah.
But then, obviously as I grew older, I realized that no, he was, as you said, yeah, like he was being noble as fuck. He was like, nah, you did the right thing. You let me out of my death cage, and I'm gonna go, take care of this baby, right?
Yeah.
Now, is he a foolish oaf and a lovable oaf? Yes, that's why while he was peeing, he did leave the baby in a position to be taken by brownies, right?
Right.
But then, like, I mean, the whole scene, how they reconnect at that tavern, and he is dressed up as a woman.
He's like, how do I look?
Yeah. How do I look? Yo, best. One of the best turnaround moments ever. When you, like, because that's a character reveal moment, right?
Yeah. Oh my god, so awkward.
Oh my god. But yeah.
So basically, am I correct in assuming that Mad Mardigan is chaotic neutral?
Yes.
He is. Yes.
Totally has his own code, and he is noble and honorable, but in his own manner.
Well, wouldn't that be chaotic good, or is that chaotic neutral?
That would be. Well, no, it would be he would be chaotic.
I think he would be chaotic neutral. By the end of the movie, he becomes
chaotic
lawful good.
Lawful good, yeah.
Yeah. Chaotic neutral and lawful good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, no, chaotic good even. Because
kind of.
At least I guess like actually, chaotic. Yeah, because like you get the impression from his backstory that he has done some questionable things.
Yeah.
So chaotic neutral in the beginning, and then maybe chaotic good by the end, because he finds a purpose that is. No, you're right. I think maybe chaotic neutral in the beginning, lawful good at the end. You're totally
right.
It
has to be lawful good because he serves people now. Remember, like,
right.
that was one of the big
He's not
serving
moments. His own.
Yeah, exactly. So that's be in servitude straight up.
Damn,
you know what I mean?
Andrea, that's a fucking good call, dude. Like to like find an '80s character and just be like chaotic and neutral.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yo, and
You're
first of all, I don't know if wait, and so here's the thing too. I don't know if you guys remembered this. This movie. I always thought that the scene with the trolls and the dragon was the same scene of the assault on the castle, and realize until recently. But I mean, granted,
No.
but I didn't realize until recently that they were two separate scenes that are epic as fuck.
Yeah, no,
oh
it's
sorry, go ahead.
no, go on.
The dragon and the trolls is in the abandoned castle, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was younger, I thought that those two scenes were intertwined, like together. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
okay, gotcha.
Because like to me, the scene Val Kilmer, Mad Martin kills what was the general's name?
Cal?
Kale,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. He kills him. That almost looked similar to the castle, abandoned castle kind of thing in a way, right? Because they're both kind of on that bridge-ish area. And
Yes.
when I was
yeah,
younger, I viewed
yeah.
that way. This is when I was younger. But the movie has so many epic scenes, which is what makes me say that. I completely forgot how many separate epic scenes they have in the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The third act is like really like packed full of
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, like it.
So
Oh, I'm sorry. Another like piece of like random knowledge. One of the backup warriors when Willow originally leaves his village with Elora Danan, you know how that he had a group of little people with him?
mhm.
One of them is the same little person from Bad Santa and Me, Myself, and Irene.
Oh my god! It's the fucking dude from Me, Myself, and Irene that
The
Jim
limo
Carrey's
driver
wife runs off with.
yeah, yes, yeah,
Oh my god! As soon as you said it,
Denied
I
him
saw it in my head.
yeah. I saw his face. I was like, I
on the
know him.
motorcycle. Let's roll,
Yeah.
baby.
Yes.
Oh, come
Dude,
on, baby. Let's roll.
I fucking love that movie.
Yo. But wow, what a good call. So here's the thing. I was actually telling Shannon when when I was watching it, I was like, I always as this guy, and I can't face it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly what happened to me while I was watching it, and I was like, I'm
Yo,
looking.
so funny. Yeah, I have a bad habit of just not looking it up and letting it bother me for ages. You
I,
know,
I look everything up while I'm watching the movie. Otherwise, I'll forget later.
that's so
It's just,
funny.
Yeah.
yeah. I pause if I need to pause. If I have to do a deep dive.
Yo, so funny.
I'm a total nerd. I'm so nerdy when I'm watching this shit, man.
Yeah, but yeah,
No,
taking
that's
through
the fun of it. That's like that's part of the fun of doing this is like is the is like the little kind of like details and minutia you get to like go in and like learn about and kind of
Yeah,
fill in
Yeah.
the like especially for these older movies that are nostalgic.
yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
you have that this like this version of it in your head that you have from like a child from your childhood, and then like now you get to go in and like learn all this other cool stuff that you probably wouldn't have given a fuck about as a kid.
Yeah.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and you get to appreciate the movie in a whole different kind of way.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Yeah, and this movie was just so dark. I mean, again, the trolls aspect gave me nightmares. The
it
dragon
is.
didn't help. At the end, all right, final scene, we got pigs, which body dysmorphia shenanigans always me.
yeah.
Even Willow practicing transforming Raziel
Yeah.
would give me the fucking creeps.
Dang.
You're
You know what
talking
I
about
mean?
in the tent when they're in the
Well,
tent.
both times because there's
There's
multiple
two.
scenes where he's
Yeah.
practicing because
Yeah.
she go to separate time or she you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like the first time there's like two different times that she transforms and it's just like both of them are fucking like but
So
yeah.
so for the third act, I have like a very specific note for the third act, and it can be summed up in the following: the gearing up scene still gets me hyped as fuck. The
The what?
trolls, the
Oh,
gearing up scene
what do you
when
mean?
when Mardigan's getting all his weapons ready and putting the armor on.
Oh
I
yeah, yeah,
still
yeah,
get
yeah, yeah.
super hyped. Okay, the trolls are still terrifying. The nutsack dragon still looks like a nutsack, and Eric's death scene is still really grim.
Yeah.
Even with the unfortunate kind of bad death acting moment where he just like kind of plops his head randomly. You know what I
I
mean?
don't know that when he that like weird groan that he does as he dies. Like I don't know.
The
I
groan
always
was perfect.
yeah
He just didn't need to like go up and then just like not. It's okay. He didn't even like naturally fall and force his head down. You know what I mean?
yeah
It did look like it. Now look again. No disrespect to the actor because I actually love Eric in this movie like all the way to. It just happened to be at that death scene. I'm like, damn it, bro, almost had it. Almost had
almost
it.
a 10 out of 10 pineapples.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's so
that,
funny.
my only negative note on the movie really is the treatment of Sorsha's character as being a very obvious like trinket for Mad Mardigan's quote unquote growth.
Well,
Yes.
but all right, yes, but
Starts off so
I thought
badass.
you would appreciate the strong warrior woman that while she does fall in love with him, she doesn't stop being a bad bitch.
Oh, she absolutely does. In the final battle scenes, all she's doing, she's not even fighting. She's open mouth, just staring at him while he's fighting around the castle. And I
Yeah.
was just
Uh,
so like
fair,
thrown
fair.
by that. I was like, oh, they like started her off as such a fabulous like I could have happily seen been happy to see a transformation of her going from good to evil and perhaps love playing a part of that, but for her
Right.
to go from being this badass sword wielding bitch to like open mouthed googly eyed little girl uh was just, yeah, that was a heavy hit for me.
I tried to justify it by being like, okay, um, well, that it's very specifically during that scene that you're talking about, Andrea, like at the first castle fight.
Yeah,
I was like, well, maybe it's like she just like really like kind of like is realizing like, okay, like I really respect this dude as like the greatest sword fighter, because remember Mad Mardigan's like, I'm the greatest sword fighter who ever lived or whatever.
yeah,
Maybe it's like, she's like, wow, he really is the greatest. But then I was like, nah, that's not like a reason that people fall in love. Like that's not what
No,
happens in real
yeah,
life.
but
yeah.
if I may,
I can't
if
suspend my disbelief there.
no, but if this particular nerd may just give my basic outlook on it, I mean, look, I totally hear what you're saying. I don't disagree with it at all because it does end up kind of subduing her to a certain role.
Yeah.
However, what I will say is that she is not evil, and I think you can see it from the beginning. Okay,
Yeah,
she is doing everything in this traumatized servitude to her mother,
yes,
right?
agreed.
And that is part of her hardened, badass exterior that she has. Mad Mardigan, under the influence of the potion only,
Hmm.
right? Because remember, they hated each other when they first met. She
Right.
boots him in the face and the whole nine, right?
Hmm.
Even if he has the whole like "Oh, you're beautiful" moment, like it doesn't matter, right? He can say you're beautiful, and she can still be like, "Nah, fuck you," right?
Right.
The part where that changes is when he, on under the effects of the love potion, show her the only affection that she's ever had in her life.
Fuck. Okay.
And that is the thing that twists her over to, yes, unfortunately, because I do agree, she does end up getting subdued in her role in the movie a little bit because of it. Although in the final conflict, Mad Mardigan ain't there. She's there killing the servants first before her magician mother like throws her and knocks her out. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So to me,
I,
it was like my justification for it was more of like yeah, uh, it. She was actually getting for the first time in her life, she actually felt what love was through Mad Mardigan, someone who was able to show that he was the best swordsman. He was able to like match her, um, tenacity, right?
Uh-huh.
And that was and because remember that she was the one who was like, oh, what, you didn't even mean it, and then she runs off kind of thing.
Yeah.
So she like still had her opportunities to be back into bad bitch mode, but again, she's like traumatized by her mother, and she felt something with what Mad Mardigan said to her, and that was the draw.
I I was with you on all of that, and while I was watching it, I had very similar feelings because I was watching that whole interaction of the two of them there, what she was in her nightgown and all of that, and I could feel it to there, but I feel like right there was when I don't I think Lucas wrote this. I think that's when he kind of lost it and dropped the ball on that because going from that to immediately like or not soon after, not long after that castle scene where she's just all agog at him, it is just too much of a fall from the type of
Yeah,
character that it was.
I could definitely agree, and I think that like, look, not to blame it on the decade that that these movies came out, right? That we would sometimes watch,
That's part of it, but of course.
you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, like unfortunately, there were certain gender stereotypes reinforced in these movies, and I thought that was a nice, at least for that time, for a 1988 film, to be a nice change of pace in that role.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
But I hear what you're saying. Totally.
Um, I also I the product of its time though. I don't know, man. Like Alien, Alien
Oh
was
yeah.
a thing, and that to this day I think is still one of the best written,
Hmm.
female heroines. I would argue that it is the best written female heroine
I
That
mean,
is
in
that's
in
fair.
fiction.
female heroines, let's just compare her to Leia because Lucas also wrote Leia, and she
Right.
fully
Right. Because
formed.
again, maybe it is, yeah, like a Lucas syndrome type vibe,
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
no,
right?
I'm saying it's not like Leia is very formed a lot better than Sorsha is. Like she has
Yes,
much more autonomy.
But she did
Of course,
become still eye candy at the end of, like, with Return of the Jedi and the whole, like,
yes,
never
bikini
lost her
scene.
back.
but she
Never lost
frees
her
herself from,
Yes.
and it's like it's almost turned around. It's like she is it's like she's eye candy for the audience, but she herself is not happy in the position that she's in, and
Right.
and
and she's never so enthralled with Han that she cannot cope with what is going on around her. She is
Fair. No,
very
that's totally
much
fair.
in control of herself and everything that she does. Like
No, look, fair. I yield. No, you got it. No, you know what I'm
but
saying?
in hold on, in that same token though, we did get 3 movies worth of screen time for her to be developed, whereas Sorsha only gets the
I think
you
even
know
Nah, but the movie has a
the original,
conclusion at the end. It's not like Star Wars, where they kind of leave you hanging on some ish. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Where, I mean, Willow completes its journey. So no, I think that there's a valid point to be made in that character deconstruction for sure. You know what I mean? And like
my
but
only
and look, the
problem.
rest of the, obviously, like you said, that's like your only real big pet peeve, right? Was
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
movie, right? So like,
I love this film. Even knowing like there's always gonna be stuff that you're always gonna love, even knowing that it's problematic because you grew up with it. You have that sentimentality. Like this was
right?
watched this film when I was like 10. I think
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you know
No,
always
and
gonna
then
always gonna have a place. I can recognize the problem with it and still enjoy it. I
yeah,
I can be critical of a thing that I love.
yes,
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 no, for
absolutely,
sure. Well, and actually, that will probably bring me to, because of course I try and be critical too of these movies as I rewatch them, even though they are my favorite. So like, again, on my critical side, that same Fifth Element effect that I mentioned earlier, I think is also not as effective in this movie as Fifth Element, right? And sometimes the movie can feel like it drags a little bit. You know what I mean? Um, there are just a few points in terms of when certain things happen, because the third act is such a huge rush, and like you said, a
Yeah,
lot of stuff ends up taking place, that it almost feels like the beginning is, it's almost like, in Fellowship of the Ring, and that's why I compare this movie to Lord of the Rings. The Fellowship of the Ring is not really like the greatest action scenes of the whole trilogy, right?
right.
What those will come later, and you get all these other things that take place. It feels like each act was like took the motif of each movie, and that's what it was, right? So a lot of the beginning sometimes is more immersive, and with that wonderful world building that I mentioned that I love about it, but at the same time, because of that, all of us like sometimes I was like, wait, how far along are we? Oh shit, okay, good. I was wondering when this part is going to be coming up. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Do you think that is because though that you've seen it so many times and you are expecting certain parts, or
You know what? That's very possible. That's very possible.
What's the run?
When you really put it that way, I can't really tell. I would definitely say that that's possible. Yeah.
What's the runtime on this film?
I think 2 hours exactly.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
I think.
I didn't see. I didn't feel like it. I felt like it was paced fine for me. I didn't feel like it dragged very much at all.
Word. Word.
Y-
Okay.
y-
Good.
Honestly, oh, I'm sorry.
Everything just felt like for the most part for the most part uh, for the most part, like the story felt very like intentioned and placed intentionally. I can't express how much I love the little people village and how diverse the little people are in that village.
Yeah,
Word.
for sure.
Yes. Yo.
Like,
For
Word. I
sure.
think it's one of the best casting decisions in a movie.
yes,
Yeah,
Uh,
they
like
weren't
that.
up to cover up that they were just who they are. They're a bunch of little people in this village doing some shit. Some people are shopping. Some
yeah.
people are making clothes. Some people are doing this. Like and it was very diverse racially too. Like which we seem to have such a big problem with nowadays.
I know. All of a sudden.
Yeah, all of a sudden magically everything used to be. Well, look, man, that wasn't always.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know
Yeah,
it.
I thought that was like that was one of the things that I really noted, and I was like, oh wow, I like just didn't realize this when I watched it all those years ago, that this like little village here is fleshed out so beautifully.
Yeah.
I think that like overall the movie is kind of very diverse. It's not even just them. I mean, like you have the entirety of the cast of Little People, but then you also have, I mean, like the end fight is between a couple of little old ladies.
Yeah,
How
Yes.
fucking often do you see that in a movie? You know what I mean? And like the main character, I mean,
yeah. How
Raziel obviously like wasn't really in the movie too much, but
I think
Yo, Lord of the Rings straight copied that fucking fight scene too.
yeah,
oh
yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Straight up, because that movie came out mad later, right? So
yeah.
like consider like that literally if you look at that movie, she was the Gandalf, but a bad bitch, yo. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? She was killing it. And she kills it like the whole movie. Remember, she puts up the shield, she heals everybody. She's like
yeah,
ultimate cleric. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You know,
And
in a movie of that time, normally the sorceress that would have appeared would have been like, voluptuous and
hmm,
as she was, but like all like young and whatever. So that was a super intentional like
yes.
choice.
Yeah.
I loved and I felt was very organic because Willow's character is not like some young single kid. He's a dad of two who's
yes,
Yep.
like
Yeah.
it bucks all of those traditional tropes of
Yes.
heroes, which I think is fantastic.
Yes.
um
100%.
honestly, the only thing that I could like really like, there's a couple of parts of the movie that I just don't like, but that's like my own issues with like I just felt like the part where the fairy queen or like is like taught is giving Willow
Uh-huh.
his like true quest.
Yeah.
I have always hated that part. I will always hate that part. But that's just like my own like kind of you know uh preference, I guess. The only thing about the movie that like really that I thought from like a technical standpoint where I'm like this just isn't good is like some of the ADR is bad. That's like as far as I can like as I tried to look at it really critically this time, and that's like the only thing I could come up with really
Mm.
was that I just don't like the ADR. It's
What's
like
the AR?
it's like when they go back and re-record when the actors like re-record their voice their lines
Oh, okay.
over the video because maybe the boom mic didn't pick it up or they had to change a line or something like that. And
Okay.
Yeah.
um some of the ADR is like really bad, especially in the beginning. I noticed like a few parts in the beginning. Oh, okay. How many Wilhelm screams did you guys count?
3.
3.
I only noticed one of them, but I saw it during my
Nah, yo, I have like an ear perk like a dog that hears a squirrel. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah.
Like I'm just like, oh, we're home. You know what
Dude,
I mean?
I actually I kind of love like in new movies these days, they've really gotten clever at like hiding that audio.
Yeah,
They
it's
try
there
and like
though.
bury it, but you can still hear that fucking shit.
Uh,
It's great.
yeah, there was 3. Definitely. I even thought about. I'm like, man, was the budget that tight? You know what I mean? Like, you
Uh,
know, put it into travel. I mean, they probably put into travel costs to get those awesome locations to keep it a buck. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Well,
They're
yeah.
like, oh
I
shit,
heard
we
they had
we, we
trouble shopping it.
huh?
I heard they had trouble shopping it. Nobody wanted to buy it. Nobody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Remember, this movie, unfortunately, originally on release, was not very well critically
Mm,
received. It did not hit box office numbers I think it needed to or wanted to. You know, um, and it's kind of fell into obscurity and cult classic kind of vibe. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And it's usually through the retrospective watching that some people are like, oh shit, like
Mhm.
someone discovering Bill and Ted 10 years from now.
Oh, my heart.
I love that movie.
You know,
Me
but
too.
imagine being that person who's like, yo,
I-
this movie, Bill and Ted, things are strange things are afoot at the Circle K in this movie, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, so anyway, yeah, as far like I'll start off the ratings for me personally. I will still have to give even one of my favorite movies like this 9 out of 10 pineapples.
You Scrooge.
Yo, I again, it's gonna take certain movies that are gonna get tens on my list, and I can't do halves. Otherwise, I'd give it a 9.5. Look, if I did have pineapples, I would do that, but I don't do that, so it's 9. It's 9, right? And I don't go above. I don't go over threshold. All right.
You heard it
So
here, folks. 11 out of 10 pineapples for Mike.
yeah,
And, this is a solid 10 out of 10 for me. I can't even pretend like it's anything less. 10 out of 10 for me for sure.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be with Pashman on this one. I'm gonna go 9 out of 10, just because that little arc of Sorsha is a little too disappointing for me. I have to give it one little knock.
For sure.
yeah. No,
For
I can
sure.
definitely dig it. Yeah, I could definitely dig it. No, I mean, again, a phenomenal film. And even when we're talking about the things that we don't like, we're usually just trying to be extra critical about movies and not
Yeah.
necessarily
Yeah.
aim them as total digs because I love this movie and will always be able to rewatch it a lot. And so there's always again a lot of lines, even the ones that are like offensive, because they really treat the word peck as like a derogatory term,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
And
obviously watching it in a
wild
more
how they named the title, because he's so inclusive. They made that casting choice to hire 200 and something some odd little people, all of that, and then they were gonna name it Munchkins.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah, what a
no,
twist, you know?
that yeah. So
What a twist.
yeah, good job changing it to Willow.
Yes,
Yeah,
for
well, I'm
sure.
definitely glad that they changed it to the titular character, and the things that would hold the movie back at the time were things I think critics were just being overly critical about, which
Right, right.
again, it's like if you like fantasy movies, it's hands down going to be a fucking classic for you,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
adventure.
If you like old like just old adventure movies, instant classic. I mean, there's a lot of ways where this movie will just hit like it'll check off shit for you on your list if you watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I highly suggest it.
Yes.
Agreed.
So being that this is our third episode, and it is
Yeah.
our first third week of the month episode.
Yes.
At the end of this, at the end of the month, the fourth episode of every month will be a roulette episode. So we have essentially a hat that we're going to pick a movie out of that we've all contributed to.
Yes.
I'm
Massive
going to. It is, and it is only growing. It's going to get bigger faster than we can do this.
Any listeners who want to suggest movies, we'll see if it's not already in there somehow, and if it isn't, then we'll throw it in there.
Yes,
you know what
absolutely. I like that
Yeah.
for sure.
Very good idea.
But there's a lot in there, so it's probably in there.
It might be. So we're gonna do that here right now, and we're gonna spin the wheel now, and let's see what we get. It is spinning. It is spinning, and our movie for next week is The Old Guard.
Oh yes.
The Old Guard. Okay.
Cool. That's Charlize Theron. And I like that. I saw that. I was actually like pleasantly surprised by that.
I don't know this movie, so this will be a new one for me.
Pash, you're gonna love it. You're gonna
so
love it.
So really, when I think about it, out of the last 3 movies, the only new one for me was Nightbreed, right? And obviously I suggested one that I've rewatched and wanted to reflect on with y'all as like an old classic. But so actually this is a good every other. First one I knew, last week I didn't, this week I did, next week I won't. This is a good trend.
Yeah.
All right, right on.
I'm into it.
Yeah, well, no, I look forward to it. I'm always down for new movie experiences.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I'm geeked.
All right, guys, gals, and non-binary pals.
Yeah.
Until next week.